is not the same country that it was 2.5 years ago when I came into office. Iran was the #1 state of terror throughout the world. There were 18 sites of confliction in my first week when I spoke with the folks at the Pentagon, including lots of generals and lots of other military experts. 18 sites of confliction, meaning 18 sites of big problems. Every one of them was backed by Iran, or in some cases, actually using Iranian soldiers, but at a minimum, Iranian wealth, much of it given in the ridiculous deal where they were given $150 billion plus $1.8 billion in cash, and they used that money for some bad purposes. With that being said, I think that Iran is a country of tremendous potential. We're not looking for leadership change. We're not looking for that kind of change. This country has been through that many times before. That doesn't work. We're looking for no nuclear weapons, no ballistic missiles, and a longer period of time. Very simple. We can have it done in a very short period of time. And I really believe that Iran can be a great nation. I'd like to see that happen. But they can't have nuclear weapons. Okay? Thank you. Excuse me? Would you agree to meet with If the circumstances were correct or the right, I would certainly agree to that. But in the meantime, they have to be good players. You understand what that means? And they can't do what they were saying they're going to do, because if they do that, they're going to be met with really very violent force. We have no choice. So I think they're going to be good. I really think they'd like to. And by the way, President Macron told me every step that he was making yesterday. A lot of you said, oh, he came in. He told me long before he came in what was happening, I didn't think it was appropriate to meet yesterday, too soon, and things have to be worked out first. But President Macron told me exactly what was happening, who was coming, what time they were coming, where they were going to meet. And after the meeting, he told me exactly what happened. And I think he had a very positive meeting. Prime Minister Abe of Japan, also a large purchaser of oil from Iran. He was also very much involved. And, you know, look, he knows everybody there. So he was a very, very positive force. But I have to tell you, the president's done an excellent job, and we're going to see how it all turns out. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I say it all the time about everything. Maybe it works, and maybe it doesn't. But I'll tell you what, we made a ridiculous deal. We gave him $150 billion, gave him $1.8 billion, and we got nothing. We got nothing. And by the way, that agreement was so short-term that it expires in a very short period of time. With a country, you don't make a deal that short. Countries last for long times, and you don't do short-term deals, especially when you're paying that kind of money. So I have good feelings about Iran. I have good feelings that it'll work. I know many Iranians living in New York City. I have many friends from Iran. They're incredible people, incredible people. So the last thing I'd like to see is a big problem, but we have to do what we have to do, okay? Go ahead, please. No, you first. Go ahead. No, go ahead, yes.
Thank you. President Macron, did you seek President Trump's permission before you invited Foreign Minister Zarif, or did you simply inform him that he was coming?
Thanks for this very precise question. But to be very clear, and we are part of JCPOA. We decided to remain in this deal. So we are very much interested by the situation as a sovereign country. That's why we want the different parties to move. On the other side, as President Trump made it very clear over the summer, we never spoke on behalf of other countries. We just tested some solutions and to see if we can find an agreement with different countries. So we took an initiative this summer to make a proposal, a technical one. I got the reaction from Iran through President Zarif's visit on Friday morning in Paris. After the discussion we had at the G7 dinner on Saturday evening, I thought that it was very clear about where we can go together. So the day after, I decided to invite, as friends, Minister Zarif. So I informed, before making it, I informed President Trump that it was my idea not to involve the United States, not to say this is on behalf of you, of everybody, but to say, as France, I think it would be a good idea to ask him to go back and try to negotiate something separately. So I did it on my own. I informed, before making it, President Trump. He was informed at each minute about the situation. And the idea for me was, in case of structural move and important move on appropriate solutions, perhaps to have meetings between ministers, not at President Trump's level, because President Trump's level is President Rouhani. So this is my precise answer. This is a French initiative, but made by a clear information of the US president before, information as well of the three Europeans, and each time I informed President Trump in order to monitor the situation and to appreciate together if something more was adapted.
I have to say the JCPOA was a bad deal, should not have been entered into. A lot of things could have happened that would have been much different. They're allowed to test ballistic missiles. You're not allowed to go to various sites to check. And some of those sites are the most obvious sites for the creation or the making of nuclear weapons. And those things have to be changed, and other things have to be changed. And I will tell you, I have very good feelings about it. I think that we're going to do something. It may not be immediately, but I think ultimately we're going to do something. As I said, Iran is a much different country than it was 2.5 years ago. And we can get that back, and I'd encourage it. I actually had friends years ago, many years ago, they were in the real estate business, and they were in Iran, and they were building houses and building housing and building office buildings and apartment houses, and they did very well. They made a lot of money, and to this day, they're not exactly the youngest developers anymore, but I tell you, they were young when they went over there. They made a lot of money, and they loved the people, and they loved what was going on. And it's a country with tremendous potential. I also say that, by the way, with respect to North Korea. Kim Jong-un, who I've gotten to know extremely well, First Lady has gotten to know Kim Jong-un, and I think she'd agree with me. He is a man with a country that has tremendous potential. You're in between China, Russia, and South Korea. People want to get to South Korea. They got to get there somehow, and if they're going to do anything other than essentially fly, they want to go through. So railroads and everything else, so many things want to happen there. I think that North Korea has tremendous economic potential, and I think that Kim Jong-un sees that. He would be the leader, and I think he sees the tremendous potential that it's got. With respect to Iran, same thing. Iran is incredible people, an incredible country potentially, location that's a little rough neighborhood, but eventually it's going to be a beautiful neighborhood. I think that it's going to work out. And I really believe that those countries that went into the original deal, that more and more are agreeing with what I did. But I think those countries are going to be saying thank you someday. I hope they're going to be saying, including France, including the president, because I think we did the right thing. I know we did the right thing. If for no other reason, it's just too short. It's almost expiring, if you think about it. And somebody said, well, you'll go and make an extension. No, they're great negotiators. Look at what they did to get the deal. Look at what they did to John Kerry and to President Obama. Look what happened, where they're bringing plane loads of cash, plane loads, big planes, 757s, Boeing 757s, coming in loaded up with cash. What kind of a deal is that? So I think a lot of good things are going to happen. And I just want to say this because I've spoken a lot with the president this last 2.5 days. We've never had a better relationship. We had a lunch that lasted for quite a while that many of you got to see. It was the two of us. No staff, no anything. He wasn't trying to impress his people. I wasn't trying to impress his people. We were just trying to impress each other. And I'll tell you what, it was the best period of time we've ever had. and we accomplished a lot. I don't mean just, gee whiz, wasn't that nice? He's a very capable man. He's doing a great job for France. He did an incredible job for the G7, and I just want to thank you. And you go ahead to your news conference, and very special. This was a very special, very unified 2.5 days, and I want to thank you for it. Thank you.
Thank you.